Star Wars: The Last Jedi is a certified hit. The film secured the second biggest domestic opening weekend of all time, after only The Force Awakens, and it earned a stellar 93% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, from critics, that is. Audiences only gave it a 55%, with Star Wars fans quickly taking sides. Sure, there are some things almost everyone can agree on. The movie was beautiful to look at. Adam Driver gave his best performance yet as Kylo Ren, and the Porgs weren't nearly as annoying as some people feared. But there are still plenty of other things to argue about. Here's a spoiler-filled look at why audiences are split on The Last Jedi. Something old, something new. While The Force Awakens was criticized for basically being a retread of A New Hope, many fans have praised The Last Jedi for being something new in the Star Wars saga. One Twitter user wrote that the movie is great because it subverts any and all expectations one could have. It goes places you wouldn't expect out of a Disney Star Wars film and proves that despite most blockbusters feeling the exact same and playing it safe, there can still be original quality films. Another said that they loved that everything turned out messy and unexpected, and added, "It's brilliant about making you lose all your mental bets about how things are about to go." And critics agree. Terry Schwartz of IGN wrote that there was a scene that is so stunning and unexpected that I don't want to forget how I felt seeing it for the first time. While Wired's Oliver Franklin Wallace said that while the film was imperfect, the unpredictability was just what Star Wars needs. But some felt the film went too far, trying too hard to be different at the cost of telling a good story. One Twitter user said, "The problem was that it tried to be original but ended up being an unoriginal mess with no real accomplishments." While a Rotten Tomatoes user argued that, instead of building and enriching the things that were set up in the previous movie, it destroys it and tries unsuccessfully to do its own thing. And others point out that for all its supposed originality, The Last Jedi borrows heavily from previous films, even swiping its entire structure from The Empire Strikes Back. It's too long. Star Wars: The Last Jedi clocked in at 150 minutes, making it the longest film in the franchise to date, 15 minutes longer than 2015's The Force Awakens, 17 minutes longer than 2016's standalone Rogue One: A Star Wars Story, and longer than other recent non-Star Wars blockbusters like The Avengers, Avengers: Age of Ultron, and Captain America: Civil War. Even for a Star Wars fan, 2.5 hours in a theater, not including previews, is a big commitment. And some felt the slow-motion chase scene through space in particular went on for way too long.
Anything you want to tell the audience or the world about this one in comparison to the other ones?
It's the longest one.
Freshman hazing. One of the most impressive parts of The Force Awakens was its ability to introduce and establish a new, young, and diverse cast into the Star Wars universe. The Last Jedi built on that by introducing new characters like Rose, DJ, and Vice Admiral Holdo. But while some fans love these new additions, especially praising the franchise's new commitment to diversity, not everyone was excited. One fan called them forgettable, and another said they were useless. Ouch. Middle child syndrome. Making the middle movie in a trilogy is a difficult task. You don't have the benefit of taking time to set up the characters, and you don't get to resolve any dangling story threads. Some Last Jedi critics felt this narrative stasis was the biggest issue with the film, especially taking aim at Finn and Rose's side mission to the Casino City Canto Bight. It's also especially difficult for The Last Jedi to be a middle chapter considering the lofty expectations set up by the second film in the original Star Wars trilogy, The Empire Strikes Back. One of the most highly regarded sequels of all time. Living up to it was no easy task. A Jedi walks into a bar. Star Wars has a history of blending the light and dark, using its cheekier characters to introduce humor even in serious situations. And some people loved the many jokes in The Last Jedi. However, some felt The Last Jedi went a little too far, causing some fans to accuse the humor of feeling forced. Some fans called out the film's opening scene, in which Poe places a prank call to General Hux as a distraction. Others had issues with Luke Skywalker milking an alien for giggles, while one person said he was given too many cheesy one-liners. Let's talk about Luke. The good news for fans of Luke Skywalker is that this time around, he actually got to say something. The bad news? He dropped dead of apparent franchise fatigue at the end of the movie. While most people agree that Hamill gave one of his best performances, not everyone was happy with the way Luke was portrayed, including Hamill himself.
When I read 8, I told Ryan, I fundamentally disagree with virtually everything you've decided about my character.
And many fans were upset at how Luke died, peacefully disappearing into thin air instead of going out in a blaze of glory. One Twitter user called it the lamest death ever, while another wrote that it was honestly insulting. All your fan theories were wrong. After The Force Awakens planted a number of clues about who Rey's parents are and who Supreme Leader Snoke really is, fans spent 2 years coming up with theories and debating the possible answers. And then it turned out that, surprise, none of that actually mattered at all. Some critics loved the way director Rian Johnson threw all that back in everyone's faces in order to just do his own thing. But many fans were upset at getting no payoff for all the expectations the franchise had previously set up. A flubbed farewell? Carrie Fisher's tragic death after completing The Last Jedi made many of her moments in the film as General Leia Organa even more poignant for fans. Some fans, though, took issue with Leia's use of the Force in the movie. The scene with the character floating through space was cited by some as beautiful, showing her character's resilience and finally answering the long-held question of Leia's abilities. However, others felt it was cheesy and negated what could have been a powerful moment for the franchise. Johnson didn't change Leia's arc after Fisher's death. And while Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy has said they won't use CGI to have the character appear in Episode 9, the question of her character's fate still remains unanswered. While no one could have predicted the real-life circumstances the film had to deal with, losing a character so central to the series is sure to be difficult. And some felt The Last Jedi sent her out on a mixed note. Thanks for watching. Click the looper icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.